Hello everyone, hope you're doing so well and having an amazing week, and welcome to this little video all about the oil paintings I'm working on at the moment. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe if you're new, and at the end of this video I really want to talk about my album as well. If you're into music, you might be interested in this because I am also a singer-songwriter and a piano player, and so I thought I'd talk about the album that I have written that is out now. Apologies for the absolute rubbish setup as usual. I can see that my paintings are looking wonky in the background. It's just so typical, and no matter how much I try to angle my light, it has a mind of its own. Next up we have this magical cat, and I really enjoyed painting this because I had this idea of this cat that was so adventurous that it was desperate when it was like on the seashore to see what was inside this cave, and there was like a light coming from this cave and it was so mysterious. And so I kind of painted this cat in, and then I thought this would be the cave here, and it's like looking really curiously into the cave, and yeah, and I think it came across pretty well. I loved painting the sea as well, and this blue, this amazing blue, is actually I think it's Michael Harding's Vivid Blue, and I adore that colour. I've been using it constantly. I just like all those really bright amazing blues. And so yeah, so this is the painting, and it will be in my Etsy store very soon. Definitely this week, so yes, very soon, within 3 days. Next up, there is this painting of this girl battling this rapid water as well on her way to the castle, a very mysterious haunted castle. I showed this painting before and now it's completely varnished, so I just wanted to show what it looks like when it's varnished. I think it really is amazing when you varnish a painting. I use Gemma, by the way. I think it's kind of like an artist's favourite, you know, and I think it's amazing how the colour really comes out and becomes more luminous when you varnish. I particularly like to choose the gloss varnish because I think it has a really nice sheen, and actually I don't feel like it affects the like the surface and like photography. I know some artists don't like to use it because they feel like it causes a reflective surface, so when you take pictures it's not as easy to photograph, but I still find, because I only use one layer, I still find it very easy to photograph afterwards. Absolutely melting at the moment. It's like 1,000 degrees here in England. We have another cat, and it is basically a little cat that is wandering through a forest, and it's trying to light the way for all of its cat friends. So as you can see, it's got this most magnificent candle that it's holding in its little paw, and he's like on his way, he's on a quest, and his cat friends are all following like, yes, you definitely know the way. And he kind of looks like he knows what he's doing. I think he's very trustworthy, and I really enjoyed painting actually his coat, his like fancy coat and fancy shirt underneath. Is looking very cool and dapper. In terms of materials, this is on MDF, and I prime the MDF with usually 2 or 3 coats of gesso. Some artists go absolutely wild and they like do 5 coats of gesso or 6 coats. Wow, how on earth do they have the patience to do that? After about 2 coats, I'm like, I'm done with this. I'm not going to do any more. That's it. Because I just find it so tedious, but also I just want to get painting, and I never really do things in advance. I mean, I probably should, but I don't. This cat was on MDF, as I say, and then I painted on top of sort of the few layers of gesso. And my favourite 2 are the Liquitex gesso and the Michael Harding primer, oil painting primer. And I prefer them the most. I like them the most because my chair is acting up as usual. It's making some kind of groan. I prefer them the most because they are quite non-absorbent, so it keeps the colour really bright and sits. It allows the oil colour to sit on top of the surface, because sometimes when you buy really cheap gesso, actually it sort of gets sucked in, like it sucks in the paint, and so you get a kind of dull finish. The PBO one is really, really cheap, and I don't mind it. In fact, I think it's pretty amazing for the price. But I still prefer the slightly more expensive ones. But if you're on a budget, the PBO one is good. And just a really quick chat about my album, which is like so exciting for me because I still think it's crazy that I've released an album, or I'm in the process of, because there are 7 songs that have been released now. One of them is coming out in June. It's June the 6th, and it's called 18th Century Lover. But the rest of them are all out, and every month I will release a new song on this particular album, and it's called Your History. And it's quite interesting because I never actually planned to release any kind of album ever. But about a year ago, I changed my piano. So I used to play, I can play the piano. I have done grades and things and was kind of classically trained, I suppose. However, I was never really somebody who was so dedicated to like piano exams. I was desperate to be like a concert pianist or anything like that, but I always loved to play. So from childhood, I used to write songs on any piano I could find. I was always too embarrassed to show them to anyone. There was one time I remember at school where we had to write a song and perform it in music class, and so I did it once and everyone really liked the song and everything, but after that I was far too shy in terms of I always felt I was not really good enough to show anyone my songs. However, about a year ago, I had to change my piano. Basically, my old piano, it was old. Like it was one of those old-fashioned pianos, sort of the wood piano, and it had an incredible sound, actually. I really enjoyed the sound because it was so old that it had a very earthy tone, and it also had a very nice echo as well. So it kind of sounded as though you were playing a little bit in a kind of a chapel or something. However, sometimes when pianos get so old, they start to develop a super echo, especially when you use the pedal. So the sound actually becomes less like a piano in a chapel and more like a piano in a church hall. You know, those sort of pianos you hear in a really sort of old church hall. They're sort of so tired out and they're really out of tune and they sound really clunky and sort of clangy. And that's how my piano was getting. It was getting to that point. And also the strings become quite loose, and so you get more of this kind of like very, it's quite hard to describe, but it's a very dull sound, I would say. It's not crisp or clear. On changing the piano, I suddenly found that the sound on the new piano, which was a lot more expensive actually, which is always the way, but it was a lot more clear and crisp, and particularly when I was playing chords, I was able to hear a really strong distinction between chords, and it's something that, you know, when I had the old piano, everything just merged into each other. And whilst that effect is really nice, when you're actually writing songs, it's actually completely useless because you can't hear the distinction between when you're changing the chords very well. So anyway, long story short, so a year ago I started to write more regularly, and I thought it would be so fun just to record some of my songs. Like I was just like messing around with my phone camera and all that. And I wrote this song about King Henry VIII because I was falling asleep listening to a documentary about King Henry VIII. And there was this amazing thing, a line in the documentary that I kind of like, I was falling asleep and I suddenly heard it. And it was all about how King Henry VIII, when he was dying, he suddenly had like sort of like was haunted by Anne Boleyn. And this was absolutely amazing to me because whenever I heard about King Henry VIII, whenever I read about him, he was in my mind such an enormous tyrant that it wouldn't even be possible that he could have any sense of what he'd actually done. You know, like there was it's not even like the thought of regret, but any kind of acknowledgement like, oh, I did something really bad. But clearly in this documentary, they kind of highlighted that there was a sense did acknowledge what he had done, or at least was haunted by it. And so I thought I would really love to write a song just about that whole experience, and possibly do it from various different perspectives. So from Anne Boleyn's perspective and also King Henry VIII. And so I then posted the song on TikTok somewhere, and I was so amazed. So many people, I mean, my channel is really small, but there were so many nice comments, people saying they really liked my voice, that they loved the song. And I honestly couldn't believe it because actually it's a genuinely scary thing to sort of put something so personal, especially when it comes to songwriting. You know, you feel like it's so much part of you. And so yeah, so I was amazed to get that reaction. And then I just like, my confidence of doing it just went like that, because I thought, well, that is the hardest thing, to do it once. And because I got such a nice response, I thought actually I probably won't get much negative response, because people do love music, and even if they don't like my music, they'll probably just skip over it. They won't actually say like this is trash or whatever. Anyway, next I got cracking and started writing more songs, and because my art and my whole personality is very much inspired by obviously fantasy and like my own imaginative stories, but also history as well. So there's the two things there. I thought there's so much material to write songs about, and there's so much material to imagine stories about. So I could imagine stories, and then I could write songs based on those, or I could base songs off characters in history. So some of the songs on my album are based on kings and queens. There's one about Marie Antoinette, and obviously King Henry VIII. But then there are also songs where they are from stories I've imagined of people in history, such as the song 18th Century Lover, and also there's one called The Sea Captain. And there are some songs about artists as well. There's a song that I've written about Vermeer and about literary figures, so Jane Austen as well. Got this far to my rambling on. Do check out my album if you're interested, and I do hope you like it. And it's called Your History. Did I mention that? I probably did. Or maybe I didn't. Oh no, I did. And it's on Spotify and all the streaming platforms known to man. And I will leave a link. I write my songs. I should make another video about this because it's probably too long, but I write my songs primarily in a notebook and on the piano. So I'll come up with the chords sometimes first and then write the song, but usually I will write down the song in my notebook, as in the lyrics, and then I will sit on the piano sometimes for 1 hour, sometimes for hours and hours, depending on how fast the tune comes to me, and then I will construct the song from those chords that I have come up with. I never use AI nonsense, and I'm really against any AI use of it. It's just plagiarism, it's evil. So I'm not about any of that. So it is entirely original, and all the production is by me as well. So I am a one man or a one woman show. That's probably, it might be to my disadvantage, probably is. But I think if I'm going to fail, at least I can fail spectacularly on my own shoulders, as you like, and not have anyone to blame, which again is, well, I can blame myself, obviously. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think, and if you like my songs, obviously. And I wish to thank you all so much for your incredible comments on all my videos all across the internet stratosphere, because I'm so grateful. You know, I've had such nice responses, and even when I've sent it to critics, and overall actually I've had an amazing response. And so yes, I mean, it's very, very difficult to promote one's music, because you send it out there and there's like millions of different other artists who are all incredible, and you get lost in the, as I say, the internet vortex. But I hope that in the years to come that there will be more opportunities for musicians, particularly original ones like myself, because, you know, what would the world be like without originality? So yeah, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Take care.